tie. He could sing so very high. He used to sing top tenor in the old quartet. Then he met a soprano from the Metropolitan Opera. They sang together for a while. Then she marched him down the aisle. He surrendered to a smile. They settled down in a town that isn't on the map, and they lived together very happily ever after. And that's what happened to the guy with the polka-dotted tie and the girl that he met at the Met. Good morning. It's Thursday the 5th of November. I haven't said anything like that in a while. The last time I saw you, I think, was on July the 3rd, 4 months ago. But here we are back in lockdown. Now, back on July the 3rd, I put out my 75th and I thought final music during lockdown video. And that afternoon I found myself listening to some songs of Julie Stein's and found that little song, The Guy in the Polka-Dotted Tie, and I thought that would have been fun to do. So I've had it up my sleeve for a while. Now it's by music by Julie Stein and lyrics by a chap called Sol Meyer. I'd never heard of Sol Meyer. He wrote lyrics for a few minor pictures with Julie Stein in the 40s, including Call of the Canyon in 1942, which was a Gene Autry cowboy picture, which included a song When It's Chilly Down in Chile. Now, I've never heard that song, but I have heard the song that Julie Stein wrote 7 years later with the wonderful lyricist Leo Robin for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, which is called It's Delightful Down in Chile, Where the Nights Are Far from Chilly. So I don't know whether the first song wasn't terribly good, but he obviously thought it was a good idea for a song and hung on to it. Now, the song I sang, though, The Guy in the Polka-Dotted Tie, is from a 1941 movie called Ice Capades. Now, big touring ice shows were a huge thing in the 1940s and carried on to be, I think, as late as 1970 or so. People would flock to see all these people skating around, and of course the whole thing had been kick-started by that Norwegian star Sonja Henie. Sonja Henie was a three-time Olympic champion who in the 1930s, who then became a Hollywood movie star. Perhaps her best remembered film is Sun Valley Serenade, where you can see her dancing to the real Glenn Miller Orchestra with the real Glenn Miller. But her most successful picture commercially was called Happy Landing. This was made in 1938, and her co-stars were Don Amici, Cesar Romero, and Ethel Merman. I cannot believe I got through 75 lockdown videos without going on at you at length about my heroine, Ethel Merman. So she's turning up today. Now, the songs for Happy Landing, Sonja did all of the skating, but Ethel did all of the singing. The songs were written by Walter Bullock and Harold Spina, S-P-I-N-A. I'd never heard of them. I've been looking them up, and either together or separately, they were responsible for songs like Annie Doesn't Live Here Anymore, You're Not the Only Oyster in the Stew, It's So Nice to Have a Man Around the House, and My Very Good Friend the Milkman. So you may have heard some of those. They're not first division writers, but they were good, solid, professional songwriters. And obviously when they were setting out to write for Ethel Merman, they had a good listen to the songs she sang by Cole Porter, who pointed them in the right direction. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know, maybe, to understand this lyric. Berger and McCarthy were not senators. Edgar Berger was a star on the radio. He was a ventriloquist. I know it sounds crazy, but he was a star ventriloquist on the radio, and his dummy was Charlie McCarthy. So Berger and McCarthy are stars of the radio, ventriloquist stars of the radio. And one of Somerset Maugham's most popular stories was called Rain, and this was first filmed as a silent with Gloria Swanson in the 20s, then with sound starring Joan Crawford. We hadn't yet had the 1950s Rita Hayworth colour musical version, and the lead character is, of course, Sadie Thompson, Miss Sadie Thompson. I never believed in Cupid, he was only a smart aleck kid to me. That bow and arrow get-up to me was strictly a set-up. I never approved of Cupid on account of the things that he did to me. Too numerous to mention, too humorous to mention. But I changed my point of view, now I adore him, I'm all for him. And didn't he bring me you? Didn't he bring me you? Oh, you appeal to me, because you're everything that's wonderful and real to me. Like rhythm to musicians, like votes to politicians, like rabbits to magicians, you're indispensable. Oh, you appeal to me, because you're everything that's ever been ideal to me. Like Swanee to the Southland, like honey to a bee, like a home-cooked meal, you appeal to me. You appeal to me, because you're everything that's wonderful and real to me. Like echoes to a valley, the beach to Bally, like Sally to our alley, you're indispensable. Oh, you appeal to me, because you're everything that's ever been ideal to me. Like rain to Sadie Thompson, like sailors to the sea, like a lucky deal, you appeal to me. Like Jolson to his mammy, like Mary to her lammy, like sunshine to Miami, you're indispensable. Like news to Mr. Winchell, like keyholes to a key, that's the way I feel. You appeal to me. Like Robert Taylor to Miss Garbo in Camille to me. Like garlic to salami, like pepper to pastrami, like pappy to my mummy, you're indispensable. Oh, you appeal to me. You're like 1,000 shares of good old US Steel to me. Like Berger to McCarthy, like a fireside to Franklin D. That's the way I feel. You appeal to me. You appeal to me, as sung by Ethel Merman. Written by Walter Bullock, Harold Spina for the 1941 movie Ice Capades, starring Sonja Heeney. As I say, they'd obviously had a good listen to Ethel singing all those Cole Porter songs, You're the Top in Anything Goes. She would star in 5 shows for Cole Porter. Can you list them? Your starter for 10? Can you list Something for the Boys, Panama Hattie, Red Hot and Blue, and Dewberry Was a Lady as well? Well, you can now. But interestingly, that tune, Cole Porter later in 1948 in The Pirate would write for Judy Garland, you can do no wrong. He must have heard Ethel singing You Appeal to Me a few years before. I mean, they were so closely intertwined, but I'm not suggesting it's plagiarism. I mean, the songs are very different in style, and frankly, Cole Porter did not need to steal from Walter Bullock and Harold Spina. But it's a nice little two-way connection, I think. I'll see you tomorrow for a celebration of the life of Marge Champion.